Hey there, thank you so much for stopping by and spending a couple minutes of your day with me here today. In this video, we're going to take a look at the GamaKay TK75-HE keyboard. So just for full transparency here, the folks over at Banggood did reach out to me and ask if they could send me the GamaKay TK75-HE to review. Now, because the name Banggood always makes me laugh like I'm 12, and because I've been interested in Hall effects, switches, and technology for a while, of course I said yes, and they sent it to me. Now, no money exchanged hands. They just sent me this review sample to give my opinion on it and to share with you guys. I will say there's some good and there's some bad, and we're going to cover that in this video, but I know a lot of you are here just for the self-hosting, the Docker, the Portainer, the Proxmox, that sort of thing. And if that's the case and you're not interested in this video, that's fine. I've got other videos that you can go watch and hang out with me somewhere else today. But in this video, we are going to take a look at the GamaKay TK75-HE. So with that intro out of the way, let's take a look at it now. Also, as per usual, links to everything will be included in the video description down below with any additional information that you may need to pick one of these up for yourself. So I just wanted to add that in there just so that there's no confusion on how to pick one of these up for yourself if you decide you want one. Okay, so this is the GamaKay TK75-HE. That is HE for Hall Effects Magnetic Switch Keyboard. I've actually had this for a little while, but I put it back in the box so that you can get an idea of what to expect here. Obviously, there's not much going on the front here, just a little generic branding, which I appreciate. If we flip this over, oops, little noise there. Just some additional branding on that side. I think, yeah, a little bit going on there, and then really nothing on the edges, but this is what the box looks like. It's very generic, and I don't hate it. I know a lot of times these boxes can get out of control with branding and nonsense. So this is it, and I dig it. Anyway, enough about the box. Let's open it up. So we're just going to pop this out. We're going to open this like so. So in the box. Now look, this normally comes in a little plastic bag to keep it clean and whatnot. But in there, you're going to get some instructions. We're going to talk about instructions and whatnot, but instructions are lacking even though you do get this. You also get a nice little keycap and switch puller, which I dig. Always glad to have that. I actually really like that this is kind of ribbed there. If I could get my camera to focus. There we go. So you can kind of see how that is ribbed there for easier gripping and whatnot. We'll take a look at that later. And then we get like a 5 or 6 foot USB-A to USB-C adapter or cable to plug this into your computer. Luckily, though, we don't actually need this if we don't want to use it, and we'll cover some of the other connectivity methods here in just a little bit. But you do get a nice white cable. I'm concerned about long-term dust collection on a white cable, but it does look very, very nice straight out of the box. Okay, so this is the star of the show, of course. This is the GamaKay TK75-HE, and overall, I really like the aesthetic of the device. I like that it's very bright, it's white, it's very clean looking, almost sterile, but not quite, because you've got each of these individual other colored keys around the perimeter there for different things, and I really do appreciate that. There's really not much going on here that is stand out as far as the keyboard itself. It's a keyboard, right? But of course, what we're here for is the actual functionality of the keyboard and some of the specifics that set this apart from other keyboards. Now, I've been using Cherry MX Blues for years and years and years. So when Banggood asked if I wanted to take a look at their Hall effects or this Hall effects keyboard, I was intrigued and a little trepidatious because I did some research and found these. You can't hear that. These are very linear keys with no actuation bump. Of course, that is because they're magnetic. There isn't a click in it like the Cherry MX Blues have, and others, of course, but I can only speak to what I'm familiar with. So these feel really, really smooth and linear and feel really nice. But it did take me a little bit of time to get familiar with, or to get comfortable with that feel versus the clickiness of the blue keys. Of course, we've got our full layout of keys here. No 10 key over here, which is, I use the 10 key a lot, but I'm getting so I'm not quite as reliant on it. And of course, we've also got a volume knob up here that is metal, and it's also a button. So I really like that this is here. I know a lot of these smaller keyboards don't always have this, so I'm glad that this one is here. So as far as the structure, the rigidity, the feel, it's got some heft to it, which I really appreciate. You know, it's It doesn't really have much flex when you really try to manhandle it to bend it. There's not much flex, which I really like. There's a little bit of, I don't know if you can see that. There's a little bit of give when you really muscle into it. But as far as just casual typing, there's no flex, there's no give. All of this feels just like you would want it to feel. So just a quick look around. There's really nothing to look at, if I'm being honest. Down here on this spot, there's a little bit of branding right there, which I have mixed feelings on, but I get it. I don't hate it. It's just a bit much for my taste. There's nothing else like on the sides on either side. When we flip it over to the back, there is a spot for the USB cable to go in for either wired use or charging. This does have a battery in it. And if we flip it over, again, not much going on here other than just some generic branding. It's got some anti-slip or some grippy feet in the four corners. It's got legs, so you can stand it up at a couple of different heights if you want to do that. There is a 2.4 gig wireless dongle that you can plug in and use if you want to go that route. This also does support Bluetooth, so that's an option as well. And then of course just some generic information here saying that the rating is 5 volts at 200 milliamps or milliamp hours or whatever. Milliamps, not milliamp hours. I lied. This does have a 4,000 milliamp hour battery in it, so this should last a considerable amount of time if you ever do use it wirelessly via the dongle or the Bluetooth. To take this apart is very straightforward. You pop the legs up, 2 screws, and then this is just press fit into place with some clips all the way around. I've taken it apart. And there's not much to see, but it looks good when it is apart. I dig the mechanical, techie look of the board inside and how it's all put together. Okay, so we can see that I have plugged this in so that we don't run out of battery or whatever. And you might, if you kind of look over here a little bit, you can kind of see some lights flashing. And honestly, from my angle, it doesn't get much better. This is turned all of the way up as far as the brightness is concerned. You can check that by doing function and up. And when those flash like that, you've reached the max, whether that is all the way up or all the way down. You can also do function left and right to speed up the animation, that sort of thing. But in a normally lit room, it's going to be really hard to see the light show that's going on underneath. So what I want to do is actually turn off most of my overhead lights and see if we can't get a better idea of how this actually looks in a poorly lit room. So yeah, it's a little better. I won't say that it's not. It is a little bit better, but not enough in my opinion. I really feel like they missed the mark with these keycaps. There are translucent options that you can get for these or for this keyboard. It's just a standard. In fact, I'll show you. Tell you what, we'll make sure that I'm not going to stop my recording, and then we'll just grab this Z key right here and pop that out, and then we'll tip it up. So you can see that it's lighting up. It's fairly bright. The light is, or the LED is on the bottom. The south end of the switch, I guess, and it looks good when it lights up here, but these opaque keycaps really restrict that light from coming through and giving us the full light show that we would want from something like this. If it's got the lights, we should be able to see them, and I feel like these keycaps have missed the mark there a lot. And since we're here, let's go ahead and pop one of these out. I've got to make sure I get it all of the way down in there and squeeze appropriately. Nope, not there, right? There, like that. There we go. So now we've got this key out, and we can kind of see what it looks like. You know, when we press the switch, we can see what it looks like on the top. It's very smooth, very linear. If we flip it over, we can see that kind of metal plunger poking through there, and get an idea of how that looks. And of course, if we switch over to the keyboard itself, we can see where that fits in there and where it's got its little sensor, and of course the LED that goes in there as well. And of course, as I'm recording this part of the video, I realized that I misspoke. The LED is actually down here, right? You can see it there. It is not in the switch. So I feel like there's maybe a couple of different opportunities where the light show could be better, but unfortunately with the current configuration, it's just really not. There are cutouts in the bottom of the switch where you can kind of let some light through, but it just isn't a great setup as far as the light show is concerned, in my opinion. So we're gonna go ahead and put that back in there. Also, this demonstrates that these keys are, in fact, hot swappable. So I dig that as well. And there we go. Okay, so this is the software here that we will use for this keyboard to make it do the things that it's supposed to do. The problem is that there's not any really clear instructions on how to use this software. I've reached out to Banggood. Obviously, they supplied me with the keyboard, and they sent me a PDF that shows how to change the stroke settings and how to manipulate the DKS settings. But they don't talk about the key settings. They don't talk about the other settings, which isn't a huge deal there, obviously. But they don't talk about what any of this stuff down here does. Nowhere in the instructions, nowhere in any online manuals I've found does it say how to do anything with any of this stuff down here. The same goes for the FN setting tab up here. These red keys are off limits. You can't modify those. But like these, you can. The green you can. The gray you can. But there's no instructions on how to properly do that. The macro key is the same way. Unfortunately, the other thing to keep in mind here is that I've been using this keyboard on my other computer in the other room, and I have macros set up on it. So that tells me that in order for the macros to work, the software has to be opened. There is no onboard storage for the device to keep this stuff going when the application isn't running in the background, and that's a bit of a letdown. But like you can create macros here. It's not a great experience in my opinion. We've got lights here. We can change the lights to be always on or have all of these different options. But again, it's hard to see the lights, so I'm not real keen on using them if I can't really see them all that well. There is also a share tab over here where you can download light setups and macros and stuff that other people have built, and it tells you like what the name of it is and who the user is and what device it's for and when it was uploaded and how many times it's been downloaded and liked and unliked and all of that stuff, right? And that's great, except that in order to participate in this, let's see, I believe you actually, oh, maybe not. They may have fixed it, but there's an account setting here to back up your configuration settings from the cloud, whatever. You have to create an account. I feel like if they had just put a little bit of memory on the device, you could have all of your settings go with the device rather than being dependent on their cloud. That may have been deliberate. I don't know. And of course, there's an about section over here where you can update the app and upgrade the firmware. It looks like there is a firmware update, which is interesting because there was just one yesterday. So let's click that. And then it's saying, hey, make sure you're plugged in. Don't try to do this wirelessly. So I'm going to go ahead and say confirm. And then once this is done, it's going to say, hey, make sure that you run the calibration for it. Yep. To ensure the effective use of the keyboard, please calibrate the keyboard after an upgrade is complete. So we'll click confirm. And right here, we can click start calibration. It says click to confirm the start of the travel calibration and the start of the travel verification. Not worded real well, in my opinion, but I'm going to click confirm. Travel calibration is in process. Do not touch. And then it says, please gently press each button to the bottom in sequence. Do not miss it, and can press the button repeatedly. What? I don't know what that means. There was nothing on the keyboard that said, hey, touch here or do this or whatever. So I don't know what this means. So I'm going to click confirm anyway. And now it's saying loading is in process. Great. Here, I believe you can adjust the background here, which is fine, I suppose, or you can upload your own picture, which is fine, I suppose. You can choose whether or not to have the software start on Windows boot, and then of course you can change how this works over here when you minimize the application. Okay, so if we come back over to the main tab right here, and then come down to the bottom where it says stroke settings, here we've got some different options on how sensitive do we want these magnetic keys to be, or these magnetic switches, I guess is the better way to word that. By default, in comfort mode, it is a 2mm press. On sensitive mode, it is a 0.5 millimeter press. In game mode, also a 0.5 millimeter press. And then on customize, you can go in and really decide where you want your actuation to happen. And I dig that. If we come over to here at the bottom where it says start simulation, and now it says stop, but we can actually see, like in real time, how little it actually takes to get 2 millimeters of travel. I mean, obviously it's not much, but if we go over to like sensitive or game mode, it is barely even touching that key will give us a full press there. So I do appreciate that with these magnetic keys, you can adjust their sensitivity to get the best use case for whatever you happen to be doing at the moment. So now let's try a little typing test over here on Monkey Type. So, 74 words per minute, 92% accuracy. Not terrible, not great, but if if I show you this on sensitive mode, it is so much worse. So I really do appreciate that we can adjust the sensitivity of the keys to get the best typing experience for whatever we happen to be doing at the time. So after having used the GamaKay TK75-HE for about a week, I gotta say, I really do like it. Despite some of the software shortcomings and the lack of instruction and that sort of thing, that doesn't really affect me as much as I thought it would. The reality is, I really only care about the part of the software that allows me to change the lights, even though you can't really see them. They're nice to have, but I'm glad at least that part works, as well as the ability to change the sensitivity of the key, the switches themselves. I keep saying keys, switches. I'm really glad that you can change the sensitivity of the switches depending on what it is you're doing, and I appreciate that that is super easy to do and intuitive, even though the rest of the application could use some fleshing out, if I'm being completely honest in my own opinion here. So again, if you want to pick one of these up for yourself, I will have links and more details and that sort of stuff in the video description. But again, thanks to Banggood for reaching out and offering to send me this device. Thank you to GamaKay for actually reaching out to me proactively on Twitter, though I'm not sure how they knew to reach out to me unless Banggood told them to. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm super thankful that both of those companies have been as helpful as they can be in this project. And I also want to thank you guys for spending a few minutes of your day with me today so that you can indulge me in taking a look at this keyboard to see if maybe it interests you. So I think with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me today, and I'll talk to you in the next video.